everyone and welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd share some of my recent sewing, and it is some festive Christmas sewing. It's actually October the 19th today, I believe, so it's not actually particularly festive. I was sort of half thinking about maybe wrapping myself in tinsel or something so that it would seem seasonal, but I just really couldn't be bothered, and I thought it would be kind of weird because it is just October. But I thought I would get on with my Christmas crafts. So I went out and bought some Christmas fabric. I just got some fat quarters from my local like sewing haberdashery shop near where I work, and then I just used those for making my Christmas project. So there were two things that I wanted to make. So the first thing was that we have an artificial tree, which is, it was sort of a bit of a compromise because I would much prefer a real tree, but they're quite expensive and also not particularly environmentally friendly. Obviously a plastic tree, or it's plastic and then has a metal stand, isn't particularly environmentally friendly either, but because you make one and then you keep it for 10 years or 20 years or however long they last, it seemed like a better way of doing it, but it's just not quite as nice as a real tree. So it has a metal stand, and I just wanted to make a mat for it because last year we didn't have one, and I think I just grabbed some fabric or newspaper or something, I can't quite remember what I did, just so it didn't scratch the floor. But this year I decided to make a mat. So like I said, I got some fat quarters, and it's a bit potentially hard to see, but it is two different fabrics, actually three different fabrics, because the back is plain green. So I have green on the back, and then I have a kind of a cream one that has robins on it, and then also like a kind of a burgundy colour that has the robins on as well. So I just thought it would be kind of fun, instead of just doing it like one plain square, that I would do it like the world's easiest, laziest patchwork, where you just literally cut it into squares and sew them together. So that's basically what I did. So I alternated the colours, and I did it 4 by 4, so it's 8 squares of each of the colourways, and then just a plain green square on the back. It was really easy, like I said. With this kind of stuff, the most important bit is probably to cut out the squares really neatly and carefully, and I obviously did not do it that neatly because I just wouldn't. So I did use a ruler and a pencil. I did measure them and stuff, so it wasn't like I just randomly eyeballed them, but then I did kind of approximately have I think it was a 1 centimetre seam allowance on all of the squares, on like all of the edges, and the seam allowance was the bit that was probably a little bit slapdash. So they're pretty good actually, but you can kind of see on some of the bits that the seams don't quite line up, because I got 4 squares, sewed them together, and then another 4 squares, sewed them together, and then put those 2 rows together. So some of the seams don't quite line up if you look at it carefully, but you're not really going to look at it carefully, it's just going to be on the floor. I sewed them right sides together with the green fabric on the back, and then I turned it inside out, so I'd left, where's it gone? I left a spot on this edge here, a couple of inches, just so that I could turn it the right way around, and then I hand sewed that bit closed. So it's not very good because my hand sewing is terrible, and I was just being a bit lazy. So it's actually like visible, unintentionally visible in places, my hand sewing, but again, it's not going to be seen, it's going to have a tree on top of it. The thing that I'm concerned about is the size. I'm not sure it's big enough because the tree is actually in the garage, and like I said, it's October, so we're not going to get it out for a couple more months yet. I didn't want to get it out, pull it all out just to see what size the base was. So I'm not sure if this will actually be big enough. So we'll see. I do already have a tree skirt, which is actually too big for it because I made it for when we used to use our yucca plant as our Christmas tree. We did that one year, and it kind of worked, but kind of just looked a bit weird. But that was made to go around the flower pot that it's in, which was a bigger size at the top in particular. So I used the tree skirt last time, and it just went round like twice instead of once, and that worked fine. So if the mat is a little bit too small, I think the tree skirt will cover it up anyway, but I just think it's quite cute with the little robins. So that is my Christmas tree mat. And then the other thing that I made for my Christmas make is a little bit creased now because it's been folded up, but it's just a Christmas stocking. So it's got like kind of nutcracker people on it. They don't entirely look like nutcrackers, but I guess it's kind of supposed to be that motif. And then I obviously made the toes and the heel in just plain red. Again, these were just fat quarters that I picked up, so not particularly expensive. I made a stocking for my boyfriend a couple of years ago, and I filled it for him the past couple of years, and then I complained that I didn't have a stocking. He said that he would fill one for me if I provided the stocking. So this is mine. I've made my own Christmas stocking. The issue that I had with boyfriend, so I made my own pattern for the stocking. So this was my original one. It's really hard to see on the camera, sorry. And then obviously I've like cut out the toe and the heel. I actually lost the heel part somewhere upstairs, but that is like the toe part of it, and that is because I did these in a different colour for his as well. So I cut them out and then used this as my pattern for the stocking. The problem that I had was I made it too narrow at the top, or in the sort of in this section here. So although the foot part and the toe part there was quite a lot of room, it was really hard to get things in and really hard to get things out. So I thought for when I made one for myself, I would slightly modify the pattern, and I had to anyway because obviously, like I said, I'd lost the heel part, so I had to redraw that. So I just did this one on a piece of paper, and I made it slightly wider along the kind of leg section, and then I made a lining version in just that plain red fabric, just so that the inside was like sort of neat as well. And then I made the lining, and then I made the outer, and the lining and the outer were slightly different sizes because again I was being slow, kind of, so you know, careless I guess, and I was just eyeballing the seam allowances all the way around for all the pieces. And also because these pieces are kind of curved where the toes go and then also the heel, when I was attaching those it was a little bit tricky as well. So the lining I think ended up being bigger than the outer fabric, and then when I sewed them together it just ended up being like too big, and I had to kind of fold it over, and it just looks really like messy around the top now as a result because it all kind of ruckled up when I was sewing it. The other thing is that because that happened, the top part is still really narrow. So it's the exact same problem that I had with the other one, is that the top is really narrow and the foot part is really wide. So I didn't learn my lesson properly, and I wasn't careful enough when I made it. So there are lessons to be learnt, but this is it now forever. Well, until it breaks, until it rips. This is my stocking for Christmas. My boyfriend has to fill it for me because that was the deal. Anyway, so those are my 2 Christmas makes. So they're quite cute and I'm quite pleased with them, but as discussed they're not exactly perfect, but that's fine because it's just a quick and easy project that I was throwing together, and maybe in a few years I'll remake them better. But for now, that is my Christmas mat and my Christmas stocking. So I hope you liked the video. If you have made any of your own Christmas makes, please let me know. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you'd like to see more videos like this on crafts, on planning, some photography, stuff like that, please do subscribe.